High wire, tight wire, live wire. High wire, tight wire, live wire. Challenge to aspire, like diving boards, stretched, taunt above the water. Nerves like tension steel, in fear, least they keel. Springy bouncy steps, power of mind, brought to heel. Acts performed at elevation, equipment flexing in anticipation. Controlled heartbeat, acceleration, steely reserves, nervous tension, poise, maintaining balance, intense concentration. Graceful dancers, fluid movements, akin to springboards springing. Arching, bouncing, twisting, turning, arms stretched out, toes pointing. Illuminating angels, smoothing, curling, blue water swirling. Walking tight wires every day. Domitable spirits fused with joyful energy of champions. Meeting, beating challenges. Success achieved by raising barriers.
Top board towers above me, 10 meters high. My legs are like jelly, and I really want to cry. My mates are on the sidelines, bawling and urging me on. As with fear and trepidation, I ascend to the bottom rung. The ladder starts to shake and rattle the higher that I get. My stomach churns with terror as I regret my latest bet. The cheering gets much louder as I finally reach the top. My head brushes the ceiling and I feel like I'd like to drop to my knees and pray that I will live another day. But Dodd's pride won't be denied with toes turned over the edge. I survey the scene, a poster stamp of water with a glittering sheen. Awaits my entrance as I turn a billowy stream. Woo!
Okay, thank you very much for coming. It's going to be a bit unusual this afternoon. There might be a bit of sitting, there might be a bit of standing. Might be a little bit of a tour, might be a bit of performance.
We don't know.
It could be in any order, at any time. Okay, if you find standing, but there will be some seats about as well. And
the audience are fine, it's the performance.
Yeah, it is, yes, it always is. Okay, some different things will be happening this afternoon, but what we do know now is something very big is about.
Dad! Look at me dive! I can swim faster than you. How can I hold my breath for?
Rest my goggles!
Ooh, my kill cannonball!
Swimmers past, telling stories from our town to Bath, tales of water, steam and stone, drinking wet courage and Olympic swimming cold. From woolly trunks to mermaids, from baptisms to beans on toast, We'll take you on a journey along Rochdale's swimming coast. One
Now, when you came in, you were given a very, very important ticket. Okay? Have you all got your very, very important tickets? Some of you will have first class swimming tickets. Wave your ticket in the air if you have a first
Let's
class.
see the first class.
Let's have a look at those first class people. Have a look around.
Clearly made an effort there with the dress. That's an obvious
That's
first
an
class.
obvious first class. Okay. The rest of you, yeah, have your second class tickets.
Members of the Great Unwashed, as we like to call them.
But not for long. It's all right because we are in the swimming baths. It's
We
all
are.
right. And the slipper baths, it's okay.
It's okay.
You can be dirty now because you will be clean later. However,
Cleanish. if you're second
clean-ish.
class.
Well, yeah, ish. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, won't we? Okay, those people with their first class bathing tickets, you lucky lot, come with me. We're going to come out this way, so come on in. That's it. Your new seat, come right on in. Come on in, Trevor. The minister there. Of course, first class, what else? Come on in. You moving in? So come a little bit further forward. Okay. So, welcome first class. So, this is the Broadwater Centre. It was the original Victorian swimming baths. It opened in 1868. And when it opened, it was actually called Lee Hall. And what we've just come into here is the first class swimming pool. It was only for males, it was the male class. Underneath this floor is the swimming pool. Okay. Unfortunately, it's got no water in it now, but it did then. It's got beautiful white tiles. Okay. It has a brass handrail. It has hoppers on the side of the pool. There would have been changing cubicles along the edge here. The stumps of the changing cubicles we can still see underneath the floor on the tiles. And there was water. It's quite unusual because the water was actually heated by steam, which was quite unusual for 1868 in the swim baths, because normally they would be cold, but this was water that was heated by the massive big boilers that are out at the back. And because this was male first class, obviously you would be wealthy. It was very expensive to come and swim here. You would have to be really wealthy to afford to come into the first class, but you would get well looked after. And upstairs, along the balcony runs all the way along there, and it also ran along the back of the pool as well. There were slipper baths. So the main purpose when these baths opened in 1868 was not to come and have a swim. The main purpose was to come to be able to bathe. Most people didn't have bathrooms in their houses then. So they used to come to somewhere else to get a bath. And there were slipper baths all the way along. And there would be an attendant who would run your bath for you and look after you because you're first class. You're very rich, you're very important. Okay? And also, you can see, you have glass ceiling, so it was beautifully lit, lots of light. There were even windows along the edge, so lots and lots of ventilation. It was a really lovely place to be. And it's quite strange for us here now. Sometimes when we think about it being a swimming pool. Can you imagine what it was like with all those noises, all those people swimming? But late at night, that's when it's really scary. And if you're really, really quiet, you can sometimes hear splash, 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 footsteps.
Good afternoon. I've just been having a swim. It is full, isn't it? Yeah. See?
At that point, I think we should move on. Come with me. We're going to carry on our tour. Mind the edge of the mats. Be really careful. That's it. Keep following me. We've all just walked into a room that for as long as I've worked here, 21 years, it's always called the disco room. Ah, why? You might be asking. Why is this called the disco room? It's because in the 1970s and 80s, when Broadwater was a youth club, this was the room where they used to have discos. The walls were painted sparkly green. They were amazing. This was the DJ booth over here. Okay, and they would have discos in here. It would be great. But originally, in 1868, when the baths opened here, this was the women's swimming pool. It was completely separate from the males. Women and men could swim all day together, not like it is today. So this must be where the women came, because it's a much smaller room. And there is a pool under this floor, so it's much tinier. There would have been changing rooms along the edge, so it would make it even smaller. It wasn't as deep as the men's pool. The men's pool was just 6 foot deep. This was a lot shallower. But it did have a glass ceiling. And it would have had a tendency wedge in it. And the females also had their own slipper baths. They would have had their own space for their own slipper baths on the women's side. But twice a month, we were very lucky. Twice a month, we were allowed to swim in the male first class pool when there was no men there. So there was something good to look forward to now. Because we are in the women's side, okay? Gentlemen, cover your eyes. Okay? And to immerse yourself in the sounds and sensations of water droplets, splashes, and bubbles blooping. you've just walked through, it would have been the females' waiting room and the changing rooms where your attendant would have met you, run your bath for you, and then showed you towards the swimming pool. This is the main entrance into the Broadwater Centre, or the Lee Hall. At the moment, there's just one door that you came through. But in 1868, the males and the females had two separate entrances. So, whereas the end window is there, that was actually the female's entrance. That was the female door. You would come in, there would be a pay window in front of you. You would buy your ticket, you would get your ticket, and you would go through into the ladies' part to meet your attendant. If you were a male, you would come through the door here, okay? And even as you came through, we can still see there's the original terrazzo stone floor here on this side with all the little bits on it. And in the floor are the cast iron stumps where the turnstiles were, that you had to go through a turnstile. So you can just see where the turnstiles were on the stone floor where they've been cut right back. So the males would come through their door and they would come to a ticket office window and they would buy their ticket either first class or second class. If they were first class, they went through here into the first class pool that we've already been through. If they were second class, it's a bit cheaper. They would go this way into the second class pool. And that's the way we're going to go. But as we walk along the wall, have a look. We've scraped some of the paint off because the original tiles are still underneath. And you can see the beautiful green, white and black glazed tiles that would have been on the wall. So it would have looked really impressive as you first came in. It would have looked lovely. We've just walked back into the second class pool. So this is second class pool. It's exactly the same size as the first class. Under the floor, hollow floor, is the pool underneath. It's exactly the same size as the first class pool. It has the brass handrails, it has the brass hoppers on the side, it has changing cubicles along the edge. It has a balcony, you can just see through the false ceiling that's got the balcony along the edge, and they would have had the slipper bags. You probably didn't get as looked after as well in second class, I don't think. You probably didn't get as long in the water, it may not have been as warm, and they probably weren't as polite to you. Okay? And another thing, next door, in the first class pool, clean water, probably every 3 days. Nice and clean, first class, it's what you expected. I'm not going to drink it. Have a look at that, okay? It's pretty yucky, isn't it? That's what you would have been swimming in. Because in the second class pool, they filled it up with the water out of the first class. So you would already be swimming in water that had been swimming for at least 3 days in the first class pool before it came in here. All sorts of muck and grime in your pool. Would have been a bit, that's what you got for your money. Okay. So, I want you to welcome somebody really special. I want you to welcome the lovely Rain. She's going to come over. We're being extra careful with me today because yesterday I forgot my thing. I didn't forget it, did you? You went out. I'm sat there thinking, now what? That one says you get thirsty. Yes, you drink the right one. I won't take that one. Oops. There's an old mill town called Rochdale. It is set on the edge of the moors, where metal shod clogs dance loudly across wooden floors. Terrace houses marched in rows, soot washed by smoke from the mills. A proud stone-built town, surrounded by Pennine Hills. Now, being clean was quite rare. Nits and crawlies seemed to thrive in our air. Sunday night was a real treat, as Mother filled kettles and pans with cold water and left them to warm on the heat. She'd pull out tin bath, we all took our turn. Smallest first,
than them as were older. I didn't envy them, as the water got muckier and colder. We heard town had built public baths where folk could take a bath or a swim, and my mother started knitting so I could go and learn to stay trim. She wasn't a great knitter, was mother, although I know she really tried. I wasn't happy with my swimsuit. In fact, I sat down and I cried. Navy blue it were, and pink elephants danced across my chest. When it got wet, the top drooped, and they wouldn't let me swim in my vest. It were lovely getting in the water in the baths at Lee Hall, the roof soaring above, making me feel really so small. There were 2 sets of baths for the fellas, first and second class, depending how much you could pay. But the water in second class wasn't changed often, so the water was murky and grey. Us women had to make do with a pool half the size, and the roof didn't soar right up to the skies. We were allowed in men's pool 2 days a month when the lads couldn't come in. We had a great time, but with screams and laughter, he set up a terrible din. The woman in charge at slipper baths, she was nasty and really quite tight. She measured water carefully. You stayed too long, you got a fright. There were no locks on the door, so she'd open and shout, "Time to get out!" There wasn't much water to wash in, and towels were in short supply, so we had to all walk home and let the wind blow our hair dry. Ah, memories fill my head of learning to swim. Kicking as hard as I could, till I knew I was safe in the water, in case God sent a new flood. When I was married and had kids of my own, the old baths closed at last. Central baths were newly built, but you never forget the past. They introduced something called zotophone baths, guaranteed to help you lose weight. But at 16 stone, still counting. Well, I think I left it a little too late. But at bath and I'd come out all shiny, with a marmie combed through my hair. I'd get home and there was my Charlie, brill cream staining the back of the chair. Friday night, I knew he was on a promise. The smell of the marmie made him grin. But he had to take me to Bon Pub early evening and feed me lots of tonic and gin. Lee Hall became the posh Broadwater Hall, and the youth of the town learned five-a-side football and table tennis for a monthly fee of just £0.50. Look at those baths and how they're allowed to decay, till Skylight Circus arts took over and taught many children to perform and to play. Up in the roof, swinging from ropes so high, smiles on the faces of children as they learned to fly. They juggled and spun plates, threw balls hand to hand. Now, council want to build a new shopping centre, laying weak foundations on sand. Yes, I know things change. I look in the mirror and see how my hair has gone grey. And the lines on my face, well, they get deeper each day. But what happened to hope? What's wrong with remembering the past, when buildings had character and were built to last? Have they looked at the shops that are closed now, of streets echoing with lost dreams? The heart of Rochdale is broken, it's torn, and it's bleeding the past at the seams. Streets were filled with chatter of folk going to work in the mills, spinning and weaving mid the clatter of looms and machines twisting raw cotton into thread. Industry as we knew it, well, that's over. The promise of hope is long dead. Men who once walked with a spring in their tread shuffle now in sadness, hanging their head. So they'll demolish the past, the dignity of Broadwater Hall. But for us old-timers, Mills, the hooter from Mills makes one last plaintive call. Lift your heads up, people of Rochdale. Listen to the voice of the arts, because every one of you is on stage. You just have to learn your new parts.
I remember going swimming in the 70s in Rochdale Central Baths on Entwistle Road. I had to wear these horrible, embarrassing, woolly swimming trunks, which my nana had made. They were hand-knit. When they got wet, they became really, really heavy. And whenever I jumped in or swam really fast, they always came off. I also remember there was a lot of chlorine in the water that stung my eyes. My dad said that that was because people peed in the pool and they had to disinfect it. I never peed in the pool again.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen, the first of the acts. We've got a bit of information now. Extra.
Information for you. Yeah, as I said, Skylight's not been the only tenant in Broadwater. There have been many amazing and different people who've been here. Rochdale's always been quite a religious place. And at the beginning of the 20th century, there was a lot of Mormons in Rochdale. And because they have the swimming pools underneath, they would use the pools for their full immersion and baptism. So let's dive back to 1907, when Broadwater was used as entry to heaven.
I am Nathaniel Johnson, age 15. In the year of our Lord 1906, I entered the waters of baptism at Rochdale swimming baths and became a Mormon. I remember walking into the cold, blue water and seeing my long white shirt float out like a big jelly. I remember the priest taking my hand and making his right hand to the roof, saying, "Having been commissioned of Jesus Christ, I baptize you in the name of the Father,
the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen."
He then put his hand behind me, told me to lean back. I held my nose as he lowered me under the water. A brief panic took hold of my body as the water flowed over my face, and I trembled. I opened my eyes, and everything above me looked silver and shining, clean. There was silence, except for the blood pumping through my veins. Although I was only under for a brief second, it felt like an hour. When he raised me out of the water, one thought filled my head.
Thank goodness it wasn't Hollywood Lake.
Extraordinary. We've got another of our amazing facts about the building for you. Thought you'd never get it.
It's called in public.
That was your home line.
How slippy it is out there. So sticky on my hands. Okay, another amazing fact, other people who use this building. In the Second World War, it was the ambulance service who were based in this building. We don't think they drove ambulances right in here because we can't find a door big enough to get through. But we think they might have just been in here and then they ran outside to drive their ambulances. Yes, the ambulance service used Broadwater.
You can do that cue a bit louder one more time.
Yeah, the ambulance service used Broadwater.
Woo!